Event towers are a key factor for TDS's consistent vitality. The seasonal events and these limited time towers that usually accompany them are important for making sure the game feels fresh, and the temporary time window for obtaining them adds a feeling of excitement and exclusivity, which greatly increases player numbers. However, the fundamental implementation of these towers is deeply flawed. The problem with event towers is also their defining feature, the limited time availability. As with regular towers, event towers have unique gimmicks to differentiate them, and naturally, some are stronger than others. For example, the Gladiator is a very good tower, and a keystone in several important strategies for speedrunning and even the general game. Now, it doesn't really make sense to keep something so meta unavailable. It's frustrating to players who don't have the tower, as they are limited options by an arbitrary time limit which they miss. With a tower as good as Gladiator, it almost feels like players who do not have it are at a sort of disadvantage, and have to use inferior alternatives, which, you know, sucks. And the only option for obtaining the tower becomes waiting and hoping the Game Pass is released during a sale, which, you know, sucks. However, to be fair, the Paradoxum team does need to eat, and event game passes are a fairly simple thing to implement, which earn them literally thousands of dollars. The Gladiator Game Pass is the most popular with 13,000 likes. Since you can only like a Game Pass if you own it, that means at least 13,000 sales. And at a price of 500 Robux, actually 350 after tax, they made at least 4.5 million Robux off this Game Pass. And of course, not everyone who buys a Game Pass will like it, so I'd bet this number is actually around at least 10 million. And with other recent Game Passes easily selling by the thousands, it's safe to say that the Game Passes make the developers a lot of money, meaning there's a strong monetary incentive to continue producing them. That's not actually a bad thing for the game, for only one reason: their general power balancing. Now, event towers kinda suck. Out of 9 towers, there's really only one standout in Gladiator. There are some decent towers like Toxic Gunner and Executioner, but it's mostly mediocrity. But this is actually a good thing. As I said earlier, the problem with Gladiator specifically is that it's such a good tower that it feels almost like an actual disadvantage not to own it, whereas weaker towers can comfortably be unobtainable due to the fact that they aren't needed. They're fun trophies, but the low power levels mean that they play fairly minimal roles in the meta. This is still bad in terms of arbitrarily limiting options, but in my opinion it's still much more forgivable. If TDS were to add more good event towers, I do think the system would start to break down. There's only so many times a year you can sell a Game Pass, and I think the community would start to sour over these paywalls if the content behind them felt as important to the meta as Gladiator currently does. Anyways, can we get Commando Game Pass?